Hello everybody, Sticks here at the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a deck that is kind of a throwback to before, I guess, the rotation happened for 6th Gen, and that is an Aromatisse Big Basics deck. And before I get into it, I just wanted to remind you that if you like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, and maybe subscribe, as it helps us out a ton and lets us do more for you guys. Anyway, onto the deck. Back in, I guess it technically would be 2005, there was a deck going around, Aromatisse Big Basics, where you basically used Aromatisse with the Fairy Transfer ability. There you go. As often as you like during your turn, you may move a Fairy energy attached to one of your Pokemon to another of your Pokemon. And at the time, there was Rainbow energy, there was Prism energy, so basically you could have 8 energy of any type just floating around, and you ran a bunch of different types of EXs with attacks that you could power up, and really it was just which Pokemon you used based on the type. Now, unfortunately, with the rotation, you lost a lot of the basics that you used, kind of like Landorus EX and other stuff like that. However, with the latest set, and with, I guess, even Breakthrough before it, we have been able to come up with a similar type of deck. So anyway, on to it with the Pokemon. We are running 2 Shaman. Again, you will not be attacking with Shaman as usual. You will just use it for setup. Draw until you have 6 cards. Great for, just drawing cards. That's really what you use Shaman for. 1 Yveltal EX because Yveltal is amazing, and with the ability to move energy around, just having this guy that you can power up in a single turn is just phenomenal and leads to some very quick KOs. We are running 3 Giratina EX. This will be the main attacker in the deck. Unfortunately, we don't have the Prism energy anymore. I'm really hoping that it will be reprinted in the future. So we are relying on Rainbow energy from, I believe that was Breakthrough, and also Double Dragon energy. Now, the drawback to Double Dragon energy is it can only be on Dragon-type Pokemon, so we have to center the deck around a Dragon-type. And who better than Giratina with the Chaos Wheel, 100 damage, and your opponent cannot play any Tool, Special Energy, or Stadium cards from his or her hand during their next turn. So basically, Giratina is just great to, kind of lock your opponent while hitting for a good amount of damage, and you can always just move the energy around because Double Dragon can act as a Fairy energy if you need it to. This deck, being Big Basics, does lose to Jolteon EX. There was really no way that this deck could have taken it on at all except for attacking with Aromatisse, but if you have to attack with Aromatisse, you basically just lose. There's no real way that you can win if you have to attack with Aromatisse. So I took it upon myself to try to find something else that could act as a tech card and fit into this deck strategy still, and that was Tyrantrum EX. You are only running 1 of them because you will really just need it for knocking out Jolteon, and it has the Dragon Impact, 190 damage, discard 3 energy attached to this Pokemon. Not that big of a deal because you can just occasionally throw a bunch of the generic Fairy energy onto it and discard those instead of the precious Double Dragon or Rainbow energies. And it has the Despotic Fang ability. Damage from this Pokemon's attacks isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So the Jolteon shutdown does not affect Tyrantrum, and with a Fighting Fury Belt attached, Tyrantrum can one-shot even a Fighting Fury Belt attached to Jolteon. So that is the only reason this card is in this deck. You do not want to use it otherwise because it does discard energy that you really need in this deck. We are running a 2-2 line of Spritzee and Aromatisse just for the Fairy Transfer ability. 3 of the Xerneas EX. Only running 3, because running 4 would be a little more clunky than you'd want it to. And also, you only use Xerneas for 1 turn, maybe 2, because you can only get the Fairy energies and attach them to our bench Pokemon. Now, I haven't figured out yet if this can work for Double Dragon or Rainbow energy. I will be really excited to see how that works, but Xerneas is great for just getting energy in play and onto your Pokemon for Aromatisse to move around. We're running 1 Jolteon just because, sometimes decks don't have something to shut down Jolteon, and Flash Ray can really just win you the game if your opponent isn't able to deal with it. Like this deck used to not be able to. This deck didn't have any way of dealing with Jolteon until I added the Tyrantrum, and so Jolteon is just a great tech card to have. And speaking of great tech cards, we're running, that's a Rainbow energy. That's a Judge. I'm trying to figure out how to click this right. That's a Shaman. This is a struggle. There we go. Seismitoad EX. This can really just go into any type of deck. Quaking Punch, lock your opponent while you get more energy in play, something like that. I mean, Seismitoad is just easy to throw into this type of deck to item lock your opponent. Now we are on to the items. We are running 3 Max Potion because we are running the Aromatisse that can move energy around. We just have to move all our energy off of a damaged Pokemon and then Max Potion them up to heal them completely. So that is some fantastic synergy with Aromatisse. We are running 4 Puzzle of Time. That's a Giratina. We are running 4 Puzzle of Time for the ability to grab things out of the discard pile. Now, if a Giratina gets knocked out, you lose a lot of energy, and you really do not want to have to deal with that. So Puzzle of Time is great for being able to get 2 cards out of your discard pile. Occasionally, you can use it to rearrange the top 3 cards of your deck, but the vast majority of the time you want to use it to put 2 cards from your discard pile into your hand. 1 Super Rod, I mean, just to get some Pokemon back, maybe a Fairy Energy or 2. 4 Ultra Ball to get everything out. 4 VS Seeker to reuse all of our supporters. 1 AZ, if you don't have a Max Potion, you can just move all of the energy off of the damaged Pokemon, AZ it up, and then just play it right back down and move all the energy back onto it with Aromatisse. 1 Hex Maniac, that's a Jolteon. 1 Hex Maniac for the Pyroar matchup. I mean, I don't see Pyroar almost at all anymore. I mean, this card has actually been used more for like the Greninja Break matchup just to slow them down a little bit so they can't KO our Aromatisse. So Hexmaniac is great for that. 1 Judge to put our opponent's hand size down. 1 Lysander because Lysander. 4 Sycamore for the guaranteed draw support. 1 Skyla in case you want to search for another Puzzle of Time to get back an energy and something else. 1 Xerosic to disrupt our opponent. 3 Fairy Garden for the guaranteed free retreat because we have Double Dragon and Rainbow Energy and Fairy Energy. As long as a Pokemon has an energy attached to it, it will have free retreat. 3 Fighting Fury Belts just to boost the longevity of our our attackers. I was going to say mainly Giratina, but I mean Fighting Fury Belt goes well on any single one of these guys. And then 4 of the Double Dragon, Rainbow, and Fairy just for the energy in play. So yeah, I really like this deck archetype, and I'm really hoping that this can work similarly to the old Aromatisse Big Basics deck. And without further ado, let's just go ahead and see this deck in action. Alrighty, we have found one against Iron Man 131 with a water and normal deck, and it looks like TCGO is still... TCGO, get it together. Seriously, it has been long enough. You have had so many updates, and you are just deciding to, you know, just waste all of our time by not loading. And sometimes it says my opponent isn't loading. I mean, it's... no matter what type of Wi-Fi I use, it's still the same way, so I know it's not me. And it is guaranteed TCGO. And we lose the coin flip. I mean, we don't necessarily mind going second as long as we start with the Xerneas. But if we don't, then that's not the best. I mean, we do start with the Xerneas, but we don't have any other draw support, which is very unfortunate. I'm hoping to get like an Ultra Ball or something like that off of my draw, or I mean anything. And it looks like we're against a Kyogre EX deck. That's a kind of... that's a cool looking Kyogre. Is that the promo one? Yes, it is. And we will have to deal with the fact that he can put us to sleep, and that will be very annoying. Unfortunately, one of the things that made Big Basics so good was that it had Aromatisse, or not Aromatisse, we're running Aromatisse right now, is it had Virizion to keep you from necessarily having to... what was I going to say? From having to deal with special conditions. And right here we will have to get rid of a Double Dragon. That is a bit unfortunate, but I mean, it's not the absolute end of the world, because what I can do is go ahead and play a Giratina, play an Energy there, go for an Ultra Ball, get rid of, I think, the Judge, and another Fairy Energy to play down a Shaman. I kind of want to hang on to the Jolteon just because... if this is a pure basics deck, I mean, it looks like it's a primal Kyogre deck, so that would be pretty annoying to face, and Jolteon would not be particularly good against it. However, if this is a regular Kyogre, then Jolteon would definitely be very solid. So what I think I am going to do is just go ahead and play it down, and Geomancy, put energy onto the Jolteon, and the Giratina. Fortunately, we don't get to do that because we did have to discard a fairy energy, and we do have one in our hand. So that's kind of the drawback of Xerneas a little bit, and we will have to, I guess, wait until we can get an Aromatisse in play to be able to really move our energy around like we want. And gonna have to just kind of suffer through the Water Pulse. Okay, so my opponent does just waste the turn going for the Primal Revert. That is just fine. I'm going to move an energy onto Giratina. How much? Okay, so Primal Kyogre has 240 HP. Tyrantrum will not be particularly good in this matchup. I'm just going to go for a Sycamore and see if I can get something. I do get to Xerneas that I don't need. Let's just go ahead and grab I think a Spritzy. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Go ahead and play that down. Put a Fighting Fury Bell. Actually, I don't need to put it anywhere. And unfortunately, I will not be able to do anything this turn. So I think I will just retreat. Do I want to retreat? Maybe. Because I want to get a Double Dragon energy somehow. So what I think I'm going to do is just go ahead and retreat into the Jolteon, because Jolteon has Free Treat, and just end my turn right there. If worse comes to worse, I can just attach the Rainbow energy to something and go from there. My opponent will be able to hit us with a Tidal Storm, so that is a little bit scary, but he does have to return the energy to his hand. We are basically a victim of a pretty unfortunate start. I mean, we got draw supporters, it's just that we drew 3 VS Seekers and 3 Sycamore within the first turn. So, okay, this is like a powerful Storm Huntail deck. That's interesting. But my opponent will get a full hand at this point, so we are in a pretty unfortunate position right here. I will really want a... what do I want? A Double Dragon this turn to prevent my opponent from being able to play Special Energy and Stadium cards. So, yeah, not in the best position right now, but I don't think it's anything that we can't come back from. This is interesting. I really have never seen this type of deck before, and it looks like my opponent used a Super Rod to just get 1 Huntail. And I don't think my opponent has any way of knocking out my Jolteon this turn, so... that's really weird. My opponent does judge us, so hopefully we get something better. That could be a lot worse. It could definitely be a lot worse. What I think I will probably go for this turn is I'm obviously going to play the Aromatisse down to be able to move my energy, but I think I have to Sycamore in hopes of drawing a Double Dragon energy so that I can get the Giratina powered up in 1 turn. So I mean, that's what I'm going to have to go for at this point. I will have to discard the Rainbow, and that is unfortunate. However, I don't think it will necessarily be the end of the world. And he moves energy to the Shaman on the bench, so I don't know, maybe we're in a decent position. Actually, what I'm going to go ahead and do is take advantage of his Stadium, go ahead and play down the Aromatisse, Fairy Transfer an energy onto the Giratina, and I think that'll be it for now. Go ahead and play the Max Potion to heal all the damage off of Jolteon, and then go for a Sycamore right there and pray for a Double Dragon, which we do get, and we get a Fairy Garden, so that is phenomenal. What I can just do is retreat straight into my Giratina, go ahead and play the Double Dragon down, play the Fairy Garden so my opponent cannot really attack. And what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and play... I think I'll play another Shaman. Yeah, to get 2 more cards, maybe get like a... I guess that's not the end of the world. So what I am going to do this turn is just go ahead and Puzzle of Time. Probably grab a Xerosic first, then a Fighting Fury Belt, then a Lysander. This way I can discard the Splash Energy on my opponent. And now I'm just going to go straight for a Chaos Wheel. Unfortunately, it is not a 2-hit KO on the Primal Kyogre because it does have so much health. So I will have to kind of look out for that, but at the same time, it's not the end of the world, because my opponent does have the 2 energy on the Shaman. He has to draw into 2 energy to be able to attack, and even so, okay, my opponent does have a Sycamore, so he's probably able to get those 2 energy to be able to attack this turn, and unfortunately, I do not have another dragon in play, so I will not be able to move the double dragon off of Giratina to be able to max potion it. So what I'm probably just going to do is I might retreat into okay, so we do see 1 water energy. Do we see a second one? Yes, we do. My opponent will have to move the energy off of Kyogre in order to be able to attack, and because I know I will get a 0-sick, or he just goes for a Sky Return with the Shaman. Huh, that's interesting. And he puts down a Regice, so I guess the Tyrantrum would have been kind of useful. I don't know what he could Dive Ball for at this point, but I think my opponent will just Sky Return at this point. I don't know why he wouldn't. I will probably want to try to get rid of that Manaphy because it does give water Pokemon free retreat, and I don't see any way that I will be able to do that immediately, but I don't know. My opponent is just getting rid of energy, thinning through his deck a little bit. I wonder what going for a Sky Return would get him, and I don't know what my opponent would go into. Probably into the Regice, but then he would... This is weird. I'm not sure exactly what my opponent is doing, because he's probably... How does he have 2 Mega Turbos? Wow. So my opponent is getting insanely lucky right now with all of the cards that he is being able to draw, and he's probably going to go into... I don't know. I'm really confused by the purpose of this deck and what this deck is supposed to do. Huntail will be able to do a ton of damage, so he does just go into the Regice. That is fine. I do get a 0-sick, so what I think I'm going to go ahead and do is get rid of the special energy on the Kyogre, go for a rainbow energy on the Jolteon, which could be somewhat useful later, and then I think I'm just going to go ahead and Chaos Wheel to damage the Registeel. I really just want to get damage spread out at this point. If my Giratina looks like it'll be knocked out, I'll probably just retreat into Jolteon and try to deal with it in that way, and it looks like my opponent's powering up a Huntail. I don't know, maybe we'll be able to deck him out, but I mean, we are kind of close on decking out as well. Wow, how did we get so low on cards? That was really fast. I mean, we didn't really get that much to work with, but I guess that's the problem with running a lot of 1-ofs. I'm going to go ahead and attach another Rainbow Energy to probably the Jolteon just to heal off some damage. And let's see, let's go ahead and Fairy Transfer. Let's see, do I want to heal the Giratina, or do I want to heal the Jolteon? Because Jolteon, I don't know, I kind of want to wait on that. So what I think I'm going to do this turn is just go ahead and Chaos Wheel, take a knockout, and go from there. The Tyrantrum would definitely have been helpful in this match. I regret getting rid of it, but I mean, what can you do? My opponent will have to hit for 180 damage, which is something that Huntail is not capable of doing, so I will just move the energy off of my Giratina, and because I do have 2 Rainbow Energy in play, I will be able to heal all of that off and be able to Chaos Wheel in the following turn. So we are in a pretty solid position, I think. My opponent is going to Lysander. What's he going to Lysander in? Oh, a Shaman, just to get a couple... Oh, I guess to get a couple prizes. That was a good play, but now I can get another Giratina into play, which is something I definitely want to do right now, and I will be able to one-shot this Huntail. I do even get a Lysander, so it's a matter of what I want to grab. What I think I'm going to go ahead and do is Lysander in... I want to be able to shut off my opponent's abilities, but I'm in a very interesting situation because, like, I want to be able to grab another Giratina, but at the same time, I don't want to put all of my eggs in that basket. I want to still have the resources I have in my hand. So I think what I'm going to do is probably... I think I will sit on my hand for now, and I think just knock out the Huntail because I will not go down next turn. I have a max potion in my hand. I will be able to take a prize and then just go from there. I get another Spritzy. So I mean, a Giratina right now is what I want to go for, is what I want to get. Even a Seismitoad actually would be enough to be able to knock out the Kyogre. As strange as it sounds, a Grenade Hammer would knock out this Primal Kyogre. My opponent's going to go for another Lysander on another Shaman, so that'll be another 2 prizes for him, but I think we are in a good enough position. I mean, if we can knock out the Kyogre, then, we're just in a phenomenal position because he won't really have another attacker powered up, and he is targeting down the Jolteon, so that is probably going to be what I'm going to max potion off. Let's just go ahead and promote the Giratina and go from there. If I can, or that definitely works as well. A Yveltal definitely works. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and Fairy Transfer energy onto the Yveltal. One more. How much do I need? I need, okay, so let's move another energy. One more. So that we're at 7. We're at more than enough to knock out the Kyogre. Let's go ahead and max potion up the Jolteon. And then we can go ahead and retreat into the Yveltal, and then I think get a knockout this turn, and we will have a knockout on a Shaman next turn because we have the Lysander in hand. So we were able to, just by getting another basic, immediately power it up and knock out a Primal Kyogre. So we are in an absolutely phenomenal position, and there is our Seismitoad that I wanted a little bit earlier. And if my opponent is able to Lysander in my Aromatisse and get, I think he needs 2 of 3 heads. So that, I think, is what my opponent is going for. If he gets it, then he wins. If not, we win. So basically just have to cross my fingers at this point and hope that he does not get lucky on the heads. It is completely a 50-50 at this point. Yes, okay, we win. I mean, I don't think there is any way we can lose at this point. We are able to come through. Let's go ahead and Fairy Transfer an energy onto the Aromatisse. Let's do that. Go ahead and retreat into the Yveltal. Fairy Transfer another energy onto the Yveltal. We're done there. And then we can go ahead and Lysander in the Shaman for the game with an Evil Ball from Yveltal. So, that was a very close game, probably closer than I think it should have been. I was just very unfamiliar with what his deck was trying to do, and it caught me off guard. But wow, that was a very, very, very fun match. I mean, it was slightly frustrating in the beginning of it, but by the end of it, we were able to really show what this deck is capable of doing, and by just drawing an Yveltal, we were able to power it up with 4 energy on the spot and knock out our opponent's biggest threat. I mean, our opponent was able to almost come through, but in the end, a 50-50 did go in our favor, so I am very, very grateful for that. And yeah, this deck is very, very fun. I mean, it's kind of unorthodox because there isn't really a main Pokemon that you use, but it is still incredibly fun to use nonetheless, and I hope you guys give it a try. Thank you for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. And this is Styx, signing out. Why not? See you guys.